The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I'm Rob Deininger, and as always, I'm here with Jack Degraw, and we are talking Yankees baseball. How you doing, Jack?
Good. How are you tonight, Robert?
Not too bad. The Yankees just finished their three-game series with Detroit today. They lost, but they did take the series in winning 2 of 3, and I think they are 7-6 on the year. What do you think of their start so far?
Well, that's an indication how they've been playing. I mean, like we were talking a lot off the air. The pitching has been excellent.
Yeah.
But the hitting has been, for the most part, it's been non-existent. And
yeah.
Not only and they're, like we keep talking about, Robert, they're tough to watch. It's not fun baseball to watch.
No, not at all. I mean, I mean, it's a struggle to watch. I mean, they don't put anything together. There's no rallies. There's no excitement on the base paths. It's just guys either walking or striking out because they're not hitting with runners in scoring position.
No, and I noticed, when they win games, of course, they only played a few games, so it's not really a true indication, but they don't strike out as much. But when they lose games and get shut out, they strike out in double figures. They leave men on base. It's just like, in a lot of ways, it looks like the first 82 games of last year.
Yeah, I mean, Joey Gallo the other day struck out 4 times. It's a lot of strikeouts, and the big guys aren't hitting yet, and it's tough to watch when these guys aren't driving the ball.
Yeah, it's very frustrating because, it's been like the same team for like 20 years. They rely on home runs, and if they don't hit home runs, they don't score. I mean, granted, they've been successful. They've been one of the top 2 or 3 franchises over, for a long time, last 20 years. But, they're tough to watch because it's either home run or strikeout. And it doesn't make for, fun baseball to tune into.
No, and up here, the Michael Kay show, Michael Kay, he tries to keep saying it's a new team, new faces, but it's the same philosophy, So, I mean, they're bringing in players that they feel fit their roster, and it's guys who hit home runs, guys who either walk or hit home runs. They don't care about strikeouts or batting average. They're looking for guys who can hit the ball over the fence,
Yeah. To be fair, I mean, they've brought in a lot of new guys, and we really got to give them a chance.
Yeah.
But it's just like I keep saying, it's difficult to watch because these guys strike out, and as of yet, they haven't had a hot streak. Now, granted, the opening day should be like now if they had a normal spring training.
Yeah.
So maybe these guys can get a full spring training, and that might have been why they're having trouble hitting. So give them the benefit of the doubt. I think when they get it all together, they're still capable of winning 92, 94 games, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and DJ LeMahieu, they haven't been playing him in the leadoff spot. They've been trying to find someone to play, to lead off, and they've been going with Aaron Hicks. And Hicks is a career 232 or a career. I think he's batting under 230 for his career now. And today he came up with runners on the corner, and it was either no outs or 1 out, and he was ahead in the count. I think it was like 2-0 or 3-1, and he popped up, and then the next batter grounded out, and the inning, it was 1 out, and the inning was over. I mean, they just don't hit with runners in scoring position, and it looks like they're having problems finding someone they could put in that leadoff spot because I think they would like LeMahieu batting 5th.
Yeah, I mean, Hicks, I think he did the same thing Sunday. They had the bases loaded, and he had a 3-0 count, and he popped up or hit into a double play. They did have Rizzo lead off.
Did they?
For a couple games. Yeah, they had Rizzo leading off for a couple games, and he did a nice job. He got on base, but I think they want LeMahieu lower in the order to knock in some runs. I think Hicks is better off he hits seventh. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, because they're getting nothing out of the bottom of the order. Eventually the guys up top will start hitting. But, yeah, I like Hicks, but, lower in the lineup too.
Yeah, I mean, Higgy hasn't hit at all. The other catcher, Severino, he's actually hit well. I mean, he's had some big clutch hits, but, they really haven't been able to score a lot of runs. They haven't put anything together. I
mean, like Torres is batting 167, Gallo 135, Donaldson 191, Stanton 216. So, I mean, a lot of these guys they're going to count on just haven't gotten going yet. And it is tough to watch. Yeah,
it's I really don't know what to say because you turn the games on and it's like they don't get anything. They don't have any rallies. They get men on second and third with one out. They can't score. They get a guy on second, no outs. They can't score. And the pitching has been excellent. You figure at this point, they're 7-6, and they could easily have 9 or 10 wins, but they just don't do anything with runners on.
That's like, growing up watching baseball, when guys got 2 strikes on them, they shortened up the strike zone, I mean, they fought for, they changed their approach with the 2 strikes, and you don't see any adjustments by any of the hitters when they get 2 strikes on them. I mean, growing up, you'd see guys, fight pitches off, look for something they could, to get an easy hit. But the Yankees don't seem to do that. It's like one mentality. It's home run or nothing, a big hit or nothing.
Well, I mean, you look at when they won the series in 96, 98, these guys, when they get a couple strikes on them, would go to the opposite field, and they were clutch hitters.
I remember that.
Would take something off. Jorge, and they just they changed their approach with in the situation with two strikes on, 2 outs, and these guys just don't do it.
Yeah, I mean that '98 team 1 through 9, they were grinders. I mean they were tough at bats because they fought you on everything. They worked all of them 1 through 9. You had to work to get those guys out.
Yeah, and plus they had guys like Louis Soho and Mariano Duncan and Knobloch.
Yeah.
They would Vizcaíno. They would just get up there, and that's the kind of guys you need. They're not the big name players, but they're winners. They're clutch. They come through when they have to.
Yeah, and the other big story here in New York is Gerrit Cole. Through 3 starts so far, he has not looked great. In 11 1/3 innings, he's given up 8 runs on 9 hits, and he's walked 7 batters. And I don't think he's the guy that they paid all that money to when he was with Houston. With Houston, he was 35-10 in 2 seasons with the 2.6 ERA. The money they spent for him, they got the pitcher that he was with Pittsburgh. He went 59-42 with Pittsburgh with a 3.50 ERA, and I think that's more the pitcher we're going to see going forward. I think a lot of that success he had in Houston had to do with that spider tack and the spin rate and control he had with it.
Well, I mean, he walked 5 guys the other day, and like an inning and 2/3, he threw 68 pitches.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really looked good any stretch. Of course, it's only been 11 innings, but he'll have a shutout inning, and then the next inning he can't find the plate. I mean, it's not like he got lit up like the other against the Tigers, but he couldn't throw the ball over the plate. I know maybe it's the sticky stuff, the cold weather, or he's not ready to pitch yet, or maybe there's an injury. Maybe he's changing the way he's throwing the ball. It's it's something to look forward to in the next start.
Yeah, I know that start against Detroit. It was I think it was 38 degrees when the game started, and before every pitch he was blowing on his hands, so his hands had to have been cold that day. But I mean, it's just I think fans have to come to grips with the fact that he's not the guy he was with Houston, and I don't think we're going to get that version of him again. Because remember last year he was lights out in the first half, but when they cracked down on that spider tack stuff, his ERA went up to over 4 in the second half of the season.
Well, now that's It's a valid point. I mean, last year, okay, I was thinking, okay, well, let's see how it plays out. But as you can see, he just he's not anywhere close to being the pitcher he was with the Astros or the Pirates.
Yeah, but the starting pitcher overall has been great. I mean, Severino's looked great through his first couple of starts, and Jordan Montgomery also has looked great. I mean, Jordan Montgomery today, he pitched 6 innings, only get 1 run on 3 hits. The game before, he pitched 5 shutout innings. Same with Severino. His last start, I think he pitched 5 shutout innings. So those two guys look really good, number 2 and 3 in rotation.
And how about Cortez on Sunday?
Oh, God, yeah.
5 innings.
Yeah, career high. I mean, he picked up right off where he left. I mean, he was great for them last year, and he looks even better than he did last year so far.
Yeah, here's another thing, Robert. We touched on it last year during a couple of shows. Why do they take pitchers out after 4 2/3 innings or 4 1/3 innings? I mean, if there's guys on base and they're losing it, why do they take them out?
Yeah. I mean, it just shows you with analytics, they don't care about starting pitching and the wins anymore. It doesn't matter how many wins you get as a starting pitcher. It blows my mind.
And it's like, is it done on purpose? I mean, we can start trouble. But it makes me wonder, there's nobody on base. The guy's got 68 pitches, 4 2/3. Maybe there's a man on first, and they pull him from the game. And they're ahead by 3 runs. It's like they did it last year with Montgomery and other guys, and for a few games this year they've done it. And it just makes me wonder, maybe they don't want the pitcher to get wins. I don't know.
Yeah, because apparently the third time through a lineup, a pitcher's ERA jumps. And so once they go through the lineup twice, they like to pull the starter unless they're a big name guy with a big contract. Otherwise they pull guy, and it drives me crazy. Remember last year, Domingo Herman was throwing a no-hitter, and you could tell Boone wanted to pull him, and from the 6th inning, 7th inning, and finally when he gave up that double to lead off the inning or a home run, they pull him. As soon as he gave up a hit, they pulled him. But you could tell Boone innings earlier wanted to get him out of there, even though he was throwing a no-hitter. They did it to Kershaw, I think, this past week. He was throwing a perfect game or a no-hitter, and they pulled him.
Yeah. Well, remember last year when Gleyber threw his no-hitter, and, he went to hell soon after that. So,
yeah.
It's like 2 ways of looking at it. But, these guys, they baby the pitchers now, and they've done it for quite a long time. So
it just seems with analytics today, though, you go to the ballpark, chances of seeing something special just seem to, aren't going to happen as often as they might have with analytics. You might not see something you would have seen, back in the day, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, and the sad thing is, a lot of the guys who never played ball are the ones making, the decisions of analytics, and it just gets, frustrating. I mean, you get some of these guys who've been in baseball all their life. They obviously can see things that, the average fan can't see because they've been there and they've done that, and, they know their team. They've been around the players, and, you can't have some guy with a fancy haircut and a nice suit, making your baseball decisions. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, and Brian Cashman was explaining, I guess, to Michael Kay one day how it works, and I guess they have like a computer program that factors in everything the analytical guys think are important, and the computer spits out the lineup that's best suited for that, for that game. And that just is sickening when you got, guys in suits and a computer, creating your lineup for you, game in and game out, and the manager has no say, especially when he knows his guys, or he should know his guys better than anyone.
Well, I mean, just going down to spring training and, you look in the dugout when they're just going out to hit, just regular hitting practice. And I mean, they're in the dugout there with, looking at the computers and charts, and when the pitchers throw a live BP or something, there's like 6-8 coaches behind them, and they got all these analytics set up and all these computers. It's on a table, and there's all these wires. It's like, you don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. That's why I'm
sorry, Robert. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's why I'm glad to see Buck Showalter, coaching the Mets, because he uses the analytics as a tool, but he ultimately has the final say on what he's going to do. And, he still knows how to play baseball, and the Mets have gotten off to a pretty good start. And I wish the Yankees would take that, philosophy of strict Brian Cashner said they were going to double down on analytics this season. But, I think it's better used as a tool than, something that you're going to live and die by.
Well, that's why we don't see Girardi with the Yankees anymore.
Yeah. And he got him to Game 7. American League Championship Series when that season was supposed to be a rebuilding year. Yeah,
and they've you thought that was everything was going to head up after that, the building block, and they've just they stay stagnant. They're still good. They still win a lot of games, but anymore when you go into a series, you don't expect them. I don't expect them to win, is what I'm trying to say.
No. Yeah. Because when you get into the playoffs, you're going to start facing the tougher competition as far as pitching goes, and when you're swinging for the fences, they don't come as easy in the postseason as they do during the whole course of a regular season. They don't, and that's where the Yankees have trouble.
No, and that's why I still have a lot of hope because they brought in some new players. So even though Gallo's struggling, and you got Rizzo, and they got a few other new Donaldson, a couple other guys. So maybe in big situations these guys will come up with some big hits. So that's what I'm hoping for because there is new players. So and we have to give them a chance.
Yeah, it's like Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo is great defensively. But the one thing he just can't hit. I think he's got a career batting average of 205. He's during the course of a regular season you could put up a lot of home runs, but if you're batting 205, you're a lousy hitter. You're not a major league hitter. They got a lot of guys like that. Aaron Hicks is another one. He drives me crazy. I think what's his career batting average down to? 234. He's someone who gets a lot of walks during the regular season, but postseason, if you can't hit, you can't hit.
Yeah, well, I think the thing with a guy like Gallo, you don't want him, in the middle of the order. You don't want him 3, 4, 5.
No.
You have to have him 6, 7, or 8, or or even 9, because these guys when they just. They don't go the opposite way. They don't get clutch hits, and it's just that's been their history. Gallo will hit homers, he'll knock in runs, he'll get on base by walks, and he'll play excellent defense. But day in and day out, you don't want him in the middle of the lineup. That's my opinion.
And with another hot topic up here is been Gleyber Torres. They've been trying to keep him in the lineup, either at second base or maybe they give the new shortstop a spell. But, DJ LeMayo, he's either playing first base to give Rizzo a day off, or he's playing second with Torres at short, or he's playing at third and Donaldson has a day off. And I'm wondering if the moving of DJ LeMayo around constantly will have kind of wear him down mentally, and it'll affect him at the plate a little bit too, maybe, the constant moving around in different positions.
Yeah, I think, DJ, you want his bat in the lineup every day.
Yeah.
I think it's possible, you might see Torres, get traded at some point. It might be the best thing for him because he can't keep on, jerking guys back and forth and stuff. And, he's still young and he still has, trade value. So that would be a good guy maybe to include in trade. Yeah,
because we were talking off air about him. When he first came up, he was I thought he was a good hitter. I mean, he went, he drove the ball up the middle. He had a good level swing, and ever since that season several years ago where he hit 38 home runs, most of which came against Baltimore, and he just hasn't been the same player at the plate, not even close.
No, I mean, when he was down here in the minor leagues with Tampa, he used the whole field. And I think 10 or 12 of those home runs were against the Orioles.
Yeah.
And,
I think he had 18, right? I think it was upwards of 18, something like that, right?
It was something. It was, I believe you're right. It was something crazy. I don't know if it was all in one season. But, and that's another thing. They're having trouble beating the Orioles.
Yeah.
They 15, 16, 17 games against the Orioles. And now, I believe in the last, 21 games are 11 and 10 or somewhere along those lines.
Yeah, they own Baltimore, and then last season Baltimore gave them a lot of trouble. And if they just took care of business against Baltimore, they probably would have been at home against Boston instead of on the road, or maybe even had a chance to win the division if they beat up on Boston the way Tampa did. Yeah,
well, if you look through the Yankees' great history through the 20s and through the 60s, they would beat up on the Philadelphia A's, the St. Louis Browns, and the Washington Senators. And the second place team, the Yankees would win 16 games again. Maybe the second place team would go 10-8, and the Yankees would be 15-3, 16-2, and that was the difference.
Yeah, and they finished up in Detroit. I think they come home and they play 3 against Cleveland, followed by 3 against Baltimore. So they're going to see Baltimore again real soon. They got to beat up on these teams that are weaker than them, especially the teams in the Central and the Baltimore in their own division.
Yeah, the very least you got to win series. You got to keep taking 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3. You can't, win 3 straight against one team and then lose 2 out of 3 to the next. It's, you're not really just treading water.
Yeah, for the rest of April and most of May, they got a really favorable schedule. They play, like I said, 3 against Cleveland, then they got Baltimore, Kansas City, 3 against Toronto, but then they got Texas, the White Sox, Baltimore again, the White Sox, and then Baltimore again before they play Tampa on May 26th. So they got a favorable schedule the rest of the way until the end of May. They hopefully can start swinging the bats a little better and give their starting pitching and bullpen some help, because Boone's been going to that bullpen awfully quick this season, to start the season. I don't want to see him burn him out too quick.
Yeah, that's a big possibility, because a lot of the starters aren't ready to go 5 or 6 innings yet. Though a lot of them have really done well, but you can't expect guys to pitch relievers, your bullpen to go 5 or 6 innings every game. It just they'll wall by August.
Yeah, thank God that Montgomery gave him 6 today. Severino and Montgomery and even Cortez, they're giving the Yankees innings, but the other guys, Cole, he's hopefully he has a good start his next outing, because he's only pitching about a total of maybe 3 innings to start so far to start the season. They need more out of the race.
Yeah, even with you count in spring training, I don't think he's thrown 22, 23 innings this year.
Yeah. He had, I think, 1 start. I know he had 1 start in spring training. He might have had 2 tops, but that was it in spring training.
I remember 2, but
okay, yeah.
All, maybe it was 9 or 10 innings, so it wasn't anything, too long.
No. And Clark Schmidt, I'm glad to see him up in the majors and looking as good as he has, because he's been, they've been high on him ever since they drafted him.
Yeah, he finally got his first win, I believe, a couple of nights ago. And, what he's went through, he's had a lot of injuries, and, hopefully he can stay healthy. Michael King's looked good, so there has been, a lot of positive on the pitching side.
Yeah, hopefully he can hold up. Severino, he hasn't pitched that much in the last few years. You wonder how many innings he's gotten at right arm this year.
Yeah, and that's something you never hear him mention that. You never hear anything about the Yankees. How many innings realistically you think Severino can pitch?
Yeah, I mean, you'd hope. I mean, pushing like 100, 120. I mean, realistically.
Yeah, and when that'll take you to maybe August.
Yeah. I mean, you wonder if they're going to start, maybe at some point during the season, go to a 6-man rotation, try to, give some of those guys a rest.
Maybe when Herman comes back, or they put Schmidt in the starting rotation, or King, or maybe they may bring up Manny Banuelos, who's pitched well in Scranton. He started a few games, so that's a possibility too.
Yeah, and he's a lefty, right?
Yeah.
And I did remember hearing Boone say something like Schmidt will be like a hybrid. They'll have him spot start. They want to build up his innings a little bit during the course of the beginning of the season. But he's someone they said might spot start here and there.
Yeah, I think eventually you're going to have to, because unless you trade for a starter, which will probably happen, by the All-Star break. So you have to see everything plays out.
Yeah, I mean, and Domingo Germán I think hopefully we have him back. I think he's on the 60-day DL, but I mean, he's racked up some wins since he's been with the big team.
Yeah, I mean, he's looked really well, but I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I mean, when the spring training finally started, I didn't even know he was hurt. I mean, apparently he hurt his shoulder during the lockout, throwing the ball around or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, where I don't know if he's down here in Tampa rehabbing or what's going on. I assume he's down here in Tampa, but I haven't heard any updates on the Yankee broadcast or anything. So, who knows? And one of my favorite players was Miguel Andujar. I loved him since his rookie year, and he's had a pretty decent start to AAA, right? Yeah, what I seen, he was 10 for 35. He had 2 homers, 5 RBIs. I think Greg Bird was 4 for 26.
Yeah.
And I know, let me see, Volpe, he's in Double-A.
Double-A, yeah.
I think he's hitting under 200, but he's got like a few homers and 8 RBIs, so it's less than 40 at bats, so it's hard to say.
Yeah.
And even Dominguez here in Tampa, he's hitting about 210 with 8 RBIs and 35 at bats. So it's really hard to you can't
gauge
really,
anything.
No, it's too early.
It's just Andujar. I mean, it's just amazing. His rookie year, the only right-handed batter to have a better rookie season than him in Yankee history was Joe DiMaggio, and I think he was second in the MVP voting that year, behind Ohtani. And it's just I'd like to see him get an opportunity to play somewhere. Even if it's with another team, I think he deserves a chance to or an opportunity somewhere else to play.
Yeah, well, he's 27 now, and I mean, when he come up with the Yankees, he was 22, and it's just a lot of guys, when they get in the Yankee minor league system, they're just better off going somewhere else because they're not really going to get a chance anywhere.
Yeah, I kind of feel I do feel bad for the guys who gets the team has so much control over a player, especially early in their career in the minors, that these guys get lost down there.
Yeah, and this has been going on since the 80s, the 90s, and guys will play well down in the minor leagues, AAA, and the Yankees have also stockpile a lot of guys in AAA major leaguers, and when somebody gets hurt, regardless if they're struggling, they'll bring up the guy with major league experience. So it's a lot of times it's just better to go to other teams, because then at least they'll get a shot.
Yeah, it's like, I know Luke Voigt's not a Yankee anymore, but when he was with the Cardinals, he had Albert Pujols at first base, so he never got an opportunity to come up. And there's a lot of players like him, Andujar down that teams just keep him down there to hide him, from other major league teams.
Yeah, that's been going on since the 1920s.
Yeah. And I'm hoping we have more to talk about because the Yankees bats have been so quiet. But it's like you said. The spring training was short. It's April. The weather's not great yet. It's not that warm. So hopefully, as the weather gets warmer and they get more at bats, hopefully things change offensively because it has to.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to analyze anything because they don't really do anything. So
yeah.
Hopefully, next time we do a show, we'll have a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, and I want to go back to I was watching Michael Kay show the other day, and they were comparing the Yankee stats to the Rays stats and how similar they were as a team. The only difference was the Rays hit better with runners in scoring position, and that's been one of the Yankees' biggest problems, especially the last several years, that they just can't hit with runners in scoring position.
Well, the Rays have they know how to build a team. They get a guy, they don't pay him as much, but they get a guy when he's at his best. He's ready to break out. And they'll keep him for a year, 2, 3 years, and then when they see him starting to decline or wanting to make some money, boom, they'll just go back and get somebody else. And they get guys who aren't sluggers, but they can hit. They work the count, and they really do a great job down here in Tampa. We've talked about it a lot of times, and unfortunately, Robert, they're still not drawing fans, so it's all the same.
Well, the Yankees, like I said, they got Cleveland tomorrow for a 3-game series at Yankee Stadium, followed by a 3-game series with Baltimore. And then they go to Kansas City for 3 and Toronto for 3. So hopefully when we talk next time, we have some more stuff to talk about, especially at the plate. Yeah,
I mean, swing and a miss and leaving runners on, it doesn't make for to watch great baseball. It's no fun to talk about either.
No. So hopefully we have more fun and interesting things to talk about next time we meet up.
Yep, look forward to it, Robert.
Okay, and all you guys will see you next time. Night.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.